their Fairfax's property on that understanding. Can you redo the
Yeah.
interviews with Kurt
Yep, sure.
Get them on your new website?
Okay.
Is that
I today, and Jai is doing this for me, I've never had a website. I always applied all of my endeavours to my employer's interests. I never had that, my own name thing. It was all TUE or 4BC. Today I've started a thing called michaelsmithnews.com, and and if you go there, it'll be a blank page, but Jai and I... Give me a couple of days. On that website, michaelsmithnews.com, M-I-C-H-A-E-L smithnews.com, I will put all of the documents that I received in relation to this matter. And could I say to you that you are the sorts of people who will have the intellect, the wisdom, the acquired experience to read them, and the time to read them. And those are so important in a functioning civic community like ours. Wisdom, experience, your time, a passion for it. And they are attributes that are manifestly missing in the bulk of the media. Look, today I just had the most amazing experience with two very senior people, very senior, I won't name them, who rang me... No, I won't. I've said I won't, so I won't. Who phoned me saying, can you send us... Joel will know who I'm talking about, or Tim will know. Don't say it, but can you send me a transcript of your speech tonight? I said, no, because I just talk off the cuff. I don't know what I'm going to say. Well then, can you give us a quote? I said, yeah, okay, we'll listen to Ben Fordham's show. I'm doing that at 4. Oh, can you give us a quote yourself? Okay, here, I'll say this. No, could you write it? Can you write it out and send it to me? What? I just, that's the way they're used to. What the government sends out press releases, that's what's in the newspaper. I knew about this matter and the Thompson matter because I sat down and read stuff and how could you not? How could you not read it? How could you not inform yourself? That's what I'll try to put on that website. Things that I hope will be of interest to you.
I'll close it now.
Well, look, I don't know that they closed down Pickering, but I was going to say, if I'd had the time, that it does nobody any use to mix truth and half-truth and lurid extrapolation, and that doesn't help anybody. I think Larry's done a disservice to the pursuit of truth. If you want salacious, gossipy, pretend... But how the hell does it help anybody to have half-truths mixed in with, and you don't know what's real and what's not? I won't do that. Yes, ma'am.
Michael, do you think that the transposition of journalism into academia, do you think journalists having to do degrees in journalism has taken the edge off being an investigative journalist that is interested in the truth and interested in presenting facts? Do you think that is what's happened to journalism and to people's capacity to look at the truth and know what it is?
Yeah, I do. The old, the bloke who'd stick around the pub, he knew people. Look, my nan used to say, Michael, you'll be judged by the company you keep. And there's wisdom in that, there's real wisdom in that. Who do you knock around with? I think in the future, and this is what worries me for Gina Reinhardt in buying into Fairfax. I just don't see what the value is in saying I own these names, Sydney Morning Herald or The Age. I'd much rather have shares in Andrew Bolt. I think that in the internet age, you individually are able to interact with a person, somebody that you know, and somebody whose judgment you trust, and whose background you know, and whose ability to assess and then comment and write interests you, but you know them because they're a person. If I own, say, the Sydney Morning Herald masthead, Well, I don't know who's the editor that day. I don't know if who's sick and who's decided who gets what story and what slant Lenore Taylor puts, or what sub-editor has taken bits out and put bits in and that sort of thing. I don't know that. I don't know if it is true. And I can tell you with certainty that Australia's media does not report purely and simply the truth. No, but I don't mean that to be misjudged. I mean this. It will hold things back. It will see competitive advantage. It will say, well, I'll drip feed this one out so that I've got something for next week. It will depend on the reporter. The editor might say, well, we're going to do this story, that story, that story, but you send the 23-year-old kid out and they'll come back with a certain slant. It's not, and what is truth in any case? Who knows?
If Gillard's hasn't been investigated yet, who's it up to start an investigation on her? Have the people from the union that they've ripped off start the investigation?
It's a very important point, isn't it? You. It's up to you. It is up to you.
So just the civilians can turn around and...
I'll tell you what you do. You do what you did to Peter Van Onselen on Friday. Anybody here... just a show of hands, those who saw what happened on the Sky. There you go. Look, Peter Van Onselen on Sky on Friday, on his show, he committed the one error that is fatal to your career if you're a politician or a person in the media in Australia. He looked at his listeners, the people who pay his wages on pay TV, and said, stop sending me this stuff about the AWU and Gillard. It's bull. Don't send it to me. It's crap. If you believe it, you're a dill. It's just malicious gossip. There's nothing to it. The mob always gets it right. Australians collectively always get it right. We always get it right. That people judge this issue, and it was only because of the weight of that activity that Sky News, they had to say something. Kelly and he had to say something on Sunday morning. That translated into evening news coverage and continued news coverage, and suddenly this issue went from being an issue that was illegitimate to be spoken about to being an issue that has legitimacy and is incapable of being ignored. That happened because of people power.
So can you advise us how to go about it?
Email your local member. Let them know how strongly you feel, how disgusted you are by this disgraceful sort of behaviour, and how important it is that it is investigated. I know I will give you the impression of somebody who has made their mind up, and that is true. Personally, I have. But I'm not a judge. I'm not a court. I can tell you what my opinion is and expose myself potentially to some risk in doing that. But you have the power to influence your local member. Tomorrow she's got to front up to the caucus. She's got to walk into that room and she'll have people sitting there who will say to her, what do I tell my constituents? What do I say? If there is sufficient pressure, you will get a result. Yes, ma'am?
Interesting that you should mention politicians, because my immediate question is why and who have you got lined up in the federal parliament to ask questions that will turn this into public debate?
Look, I wish I was able to say that I had more confidence. I don't have confidence in the opposition at all to pursue this. I have spoken to so many people at such length about it. Well, let's have a show of hands. Is this matter, I try not to lead the question, so how do I say this? Okay, show of hands on the most important questions that you want asked in the Parliament. The most important, and I'll say it's carbon tax, asylum seekers, Gillard AWU. Okay, but you only got to pick one. The number one, what should be the number one? Carbon tax? Gillard and the AWU. Just show of hands if you think that is the most important question. I'm going to phrase that question again, just hands down, and this might be useful for the cameras. I'll give you three alternatives. The most important issue that you want questions asked about in the federal parliament, and the three alternatives will be carbon tax, asylum seekers, or Gillard and the AWU, and we'll do it by show of hands. So the first one will be asylum seekers. Hands up if you want, as the most important issue you want questions asked about, asylum seekers. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Number 2, carbon tax. The most important question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And the third alternative, the most important question, Miss Gillard and the AWU matter. I think the ayes have it. Yes, ma'am.
The question we want to hear asked in Parliament is, Ms Gillard, did you sign a paper that brought into being this association? That would be the one question.
Okay.
That the
Is it
opposition
did you write on this? Yeah.
That's
Okay.
exactly.
Thank you.
Drag
Thank
it
you.
out. And then so the next question drags out the next question.
You won't answer the question.
I'll pass it on. I have the relevant telephone numbers. I'll pass on what you have said today.
So just one more thing, sorry. If we are to get to our MPs,
Yes.
are we leaving ourselves, how sure are you of your documents for us to be making
you need to be
these
sure yourself.
allegations as well?
You need to be, look, you expose yourself to no jeopardy by writing a note and asking questions, asking somebody to investigate a matter. I've made assertions which I know are bold, and I make them in the belief that they are absolutely true, and that I have sought legal advice in relation to the facts that I say substantiate the imputations you could draw from what I've had to say. But yes, ma'am, you've been very patient. Yes.
You're looking at an aged care nurse where I was making $17.87, and I was a member of the HSU with Craig Thompson and Michael Williamson. Craig Thompson screwing around with my money, and Michael Williamson at the trough, at the food trough, and it's $650 a year to be a member. And I didn't use it for industrial action. I was not a member for industrial action. I was a member solely for indemnity protection. And you don't have a half price a year for being a part-timer. $17.87. And I worked my butt off.
Yeah.
And I was a member of the HSU. And so now I'm passionate now about this new matter you brought up, because it's only one part removed from feeling a little bit involved in the HSU when it came out. So, yeah.
Can I say this about the HSU, that disgraceful, stinking, fetid mess? I was invited to a pub to meet with an informant. You can probably work out who that person is, who just gave me chapter and verse. The person said, Williamson views that union. First of all, she said, my union is corrupt, there's racketeering in my union. Williamson views the union as existing for 3 purposes. Number 1, a database of people to send stuff to. Number 2, an insurance business from which trailing commissions are extracted. And number 3, a mechanism to flog stuff, he calls it member benefits, but flogging stuff to members on that database from which commissions are extracted. It is a stinking, fetid, putrid mess. At none of their meetings was the issue of industrial representation discussed with anything like the passion and care of your numbers. How many of you signed up? How many more have you got? How much have you sold? It's just beyond the pale. Beyond, when I look at you, ma'am, and just think about, what $600 could do at Christmas time.
And you might only make $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
If you're part-time.
One more question.
Okay, one more question. Yes, sir.
In the absence of any, what I would declare competent leadership in this country, a lot of people get frustrated about things like this, and we need a voice and clarification. So I would appreciate it if you would start with your website, for example, that exercise that we just conducted, what are the 3 fundamental questions? Can we put something like that as a framework of issues that people should follow on with their local members? So you say, we're really passionate, or we say we're really passionate about what we need to express, but we need it sort of done in a cohesive, sort of focused manner. So the message gets distributed to a wide range of representatives, like Parliament, whatever, so that we can really stick it to them specifically. But don't sort of like do a blanket thing like that. Say we were to draw out, did Julia Gillard, for example, initiate this instrument for the founding of this? Okay, that's the start. Okay, you've got to get a yes or a no. And yes, she did. Okay, then we build on that question, and then it drags it out by just a natural sequence of investigation. So I would appreciate if you could do something like that.
Thank you for the suggestion. Look, I know that we are we have to vacate or we're going to get evicted.